Morning, John.
Good to see you.
Good seeing you as well. Can we turn the volume up like a touch?
To the media on the line, please mute your computers, please. Sahith will get started in 1 second.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, we'll get started. We'd like to welcome Sahith Theegala into the interview room here at the Shriners Children's Open. Sahith, coming off of a tie for 8th last week at the Sanderson Farms Championship. I know it didn't end the way you wanted, but what a learning experience and what a great show you put on. If we can get some comments on that event first, please.
Yeah, that was pretty special. For all the events of the last couple months, they happened so quickly, and to lead to that last week was really cool. It was almost a blessing that it happened so quickly, so I didn't really have time to process what was going on, and I was just kind of playing my golf, and sure enough, after each of the first 3 rounds, I found myself at the top, so that was really cool. And there's just that experience on Sunday, being in that position, final group, it is something that I'm going to carry on for the rest of my career, and something I look back. I had so much fun that week too. Just really staying in the moment and grinding through it all. It was a blast. Obviously, that back nine on Sunday was tough, and I was able to reflect on it the next day and learn so much from it, obviously. But yeah, what a great week.
All right, and speaking of, you talked about sort of quickly gaining success. Just talk a little bit about the progression you've already made from such a successful collegiate career, and then earning your card for Korn Ferry finals, and now to already be seeing some success out here on tour. Take us through the last year or so, if you can, please.
Yeah. So graduated May of 2020, knowing that I had another year of college if I wanted for the COVID year, but I just felt like I was ready. I'd made such big strides my senior year of college, not only as a golfer, but just as a person in life, and just felt like I was ready to move on, and kind of took that leap of faith into, just playing mini tour stuff and trying to make the most of my starts. And, luckily I was able to get enough points to make it to Korn Ferry finals. And at that point I was just, so happy that I made it to Korn Ferry finals that I felt like I had no expectations. And that's been a big thing the past years. Like, the people close to me, my father, my coach, we're all just like, hey, you shouldn't have any expectations. You had nothing to start, and all of a sudden you found yourself in the Korn Ferry finals, and just kind of having that mindset through that. Played some of my best golf I've ever played at the Korn Ferry finals to get my card. So just having that mindset of not putting any unnecessary pressure or expectations on my shoulders was really big this past year. And the progress I've made just in my game as well has been great. I feel like every week, even if I'm getting 0.001% better, that's great. If I can make that progress the rest of my life, I'll be very happy with that.
And now you're here at the Shriners. If you can talk a little bit about this golf course, have you seen it already this week, and how does it suit your game?
Yeah, I played the Monday Pro-Am, and then I played 9 holes yesterday. I live like 3.5 hour drive away in Chino, just right down the 15. So I've spent a bunch of time in Vegas, played a lot of junior tournaments here, and I'm very comfortable with not only the environment, but even the slight elevation change and how the ball goes a touch further over here. But I really like the golf course. I played it a couple times before this week. Once with the actually both times with the Pepperdine golf team. But really comfortable with this course. It's kind of a shootout type of course. Even if the greens get firm, if there's not a ton of wind, there's going to be a lot of low scores because the course plays pretty short. And off the tee, I feel like it's pretty forgiving. But it's a great course. You still have to think your way around, really have to focus on every shot. I mean, that's probably a pretty common theme on PGA Tour courses. But yeah, I really like the golf course. West Coast golf kind of thing, so I feel pretty comfortable out here.
All right, great. We will open it up to questions. I would like to ask the media if you can please turn your video off until we call on you for a question, please. We're going to start with Sydney with our first question.
Hi, good morning, Sahith. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Sydney. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously by your name we know that you have an Indian connection.
Yeah.
Probably your parents are from here.
Yeah.
So for the Indian audience here, can you just throw some light on your, parentage? Like where are your parents from? And
Yeah.
you grew up in America. Where did you grow up?
Yeah.
And how did you get into golf and the journey at the start of your life?
Yeah. So both my parents were born and brought up in Hyderabad. My dad was the first one to leave India in the family. He went to IIT Madras, and then he did grad school at Kansas State. So he was the first one. Pretty much came here with nothing. You know, a really cool story. How, again, just going back on, really thankful for the opportunity my parents gave me. But went to Kansas State on a whim. Spent 2.5 years there, and then bought a car for like $500 and drove to LA looking for jobs. And so yeah, he came to the States when he was first 23, and then went back to India, got married. My mom came over when, trying to think when, but she was maybe 21 or 22, so young. But yeah, they moved to LA, and they've been there their whole lives, and I was born and brought up in LA as well. In terms of how I got into golf, obviously nobody in my family played sports. It just wasn't a thing. But my dad, when he came to the state, he was very active even back in India. He ran some marathons and played some cricket and did all kinds of stuff. But he loved watching sports, and I think he got into that culture when he went to Kansas State. So when I was young, he would always have sports up on the TV. The three main ones were basketball, golf, and cricket. But so I got into basketball and golf because America. But yeah, I got into basketball, even football actually, when I was really young, maybe 3 years old, and then got into golf when I was 5 or 6. But it was pretty funny because nobody in my family really knew, okay, so sports are just for fun kind of thing, right? But we found out pretty quickly that I was really good at golf. So, and again, more credit to my father. He, found a way with no background or knowledge of how to kind of get me to the next level, found a way to do it. So that's how I got into golf. But yeah, both my parents were born and brought up in India. I spent a little bit of time in India when I was younger. I haven't really been much recently, but obviously very proud of my heritage and my background.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now go to Joy for the next question.
Hi, Sahith.
Hi, Joy, sir. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm same here, man. Listen, Sahith, first, I want to ask you a couple of questions, but
Yeah.
first, can you just tell me what is the reason behind the name being called Sahith Theegala and not Sahith Reddy?
Yeah, so I have to check this with my dad again, but obviously all my cousins and everybody back in India, last name is Reddy, right? It was something with either something military related or just coming to the States that my middle name and my dad switched my middle name and my last name, so it went Sahith Reddy Theegala instead of Sahith Theegala Reddy. But yeah, like even my cousins that are over here, their last name is Reddy. So I obviously see myself as a Reddy as well, but yeah, Theegala kind of stuck.
See how many headlines you are missing because of that. Is Sahith Reddy?
I know, yeah, I know.
The Americans won't know the fun of having, headlines with your name then.
I know, exactly. I had a...
Sahith,
Oh yeah, go for it, Joey, go for it.
well, I don't want to take much time, but just, I wanted to know your mindset going into the Barracuda Championship when
Yeah.
you were just outside the top 200. Things were not really going well. Did you have any self-doubt? I mean, it's almost impossible to think that you did not.
Yeah, it was definitely a interesting time. I was very nervous. I honestly didn't know if I was even going to get into the Barracuda Championship. I was actually, funny story, I don't know if you guys know this, but I was driving up to Northern California to stay with my caddy for a few days who lives there before the Monday qualifier for the Barracuda. So I had no idea I was in. But in my last 30 minutes of a 7 hour drive, Chris Hoff, the tournament director, he calls me and he's like, "Hey, Sahith, we got a spot for you. You're in." So I wasn't even like fully mentally prepared to be in the tournament. So that was really, really great call to have. And I got to meet Chris at last year's Barracuda. He's a great guy. But yeah, once I got in, I knew, if I have a good week this week, I can pretty much secure myself that top 200. And I was definitely nervous, but I think the format also helped a little bit. I've always been kind of a little bit of streaky, explosive player, so I like to make a lot of birdies, and the format kind of fits my style. So it took a little bit of pressure off, knowing that if I have a few bad holes, I can always rip off a stretch of birdies and kind of make that ground up. So also having the experience from last year was really helpful. So yeah, I had a really good finish to the first round, and that kind of eased all my nerves a little bit. And then the rest of the week, I honestly didn't even play my best golf. I was just really grinding my way through, and was really happy with the way I finished for sure. And sure enough, I got enough points by 4 points or something crazy. So, but yeah, it definitely helped also that it was in California. A little comfort there as well.
Thanks, Ed. I'll maybe come back if I
Perfect.
get another chance.
Yeah, for sure, Joy. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joy. Let's go to Anand for the next question. Okay, let's go to Anand for the next question.
Yes, can you hear me, Sahith?
Hey, Anand. Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Yes, Sahith, I have a question and then I might want to follow up, but
Yeah.
you don't mind.
Yeah.
So the first thing is over the last 2 years particularly,
Uh-huh.
and following you and your game, it's pretty clear that you have this streak of resilience and the ability to take chances when they come your way.
Uh-huh.
Example being, your run from playing the fourth round in a big tournament and then running for the final sectionals to get through to the US. You've done, Monday Qs and trying to get into tournaments and so on and so forth. Where does that streak of resilience come from into your game, and how do you kind of, prepare for, still producing your best after the
Sure.
grind?
I think that comes from just being at a young age. I've always been a player. I never loved, the practice and the grind when I was younger. I got to kind of see how much more important that is later on. But I think just playing straight on kind of my skill set and my talents when I was younger has allowed me to just kind of be free mentally as well. So I don't feel like I need as much preparation leading into, let's say, a Monday qualifier after a 4-day event kind of thing. And then a lot of it is mindset. Obviously the physical part is tough. Making sure your body has enough energy for that kind of stuff. And I feel like I've learned that, I can't push my body too much or else I'm not going to be able to perform at my highest level. And the same thing goes mentally. If you don't give yourself a little bit of a mental break here and there, you can just wear yourself out really quickly. So I was just seeing these Monday qualifiers and the U.S. Open sectional qualifiers as just another opportunity to perform, and knowing also that other guys that are playing this event are already exhausted physically and mentally, so I felt like I had a little bit of an upper edge in that regard. But yeah, I think that also comes from how my parents raised me, to be resilient and not to let your guard down at any point. And if you have an opportunity, might as well make the most out of it and try and take that opportunity.
And Sahith, just to follow that up, last week, of course, the first day you made some 150 feet of putts.
Yeah.
The third day you made a 30-footer to retain a share of the lead.
Yeah.
Just playing so well through 21 under.
Yeah.
And then you made the turn. I know you already said you spoke to John at the start and said it was tough and you
Yeah.
took some lessons out of it on Monday. But can you just maybe give us some more insight, delve on it a little more, and try and tell us what was happening in the moment and what happened on Monday.
Yeah. So that Sunday, I was obviously able to look at some of my shots and my body language and stuff like that from Sunday, and it looked really good. I think me and my caddy Carl did a good job of just staying in the moment and trying to play shot by shot. But I did realize I was a little bit fidgety on the golf course. Maybe I'm not usually that expressive of a player, but I hit some shots and I was kind of giving it some body language, and I hit a shot on hole 8 to get to 21 under. I hit it and I went on the ground almost, and I feel like I haven't really done that. I think that was just nerves kind of getting to me a little bit. Obviously, it was my first time in that spot, so that back nine, I thought for the most part I stuck to my process, and even Carl told me to slow down because it's so easy to get ahead of yourself and get quick. But I just hit a couple shots where, sure, maybe I felt like I was slowing down, but my swing wasn't that way, and I hit 2 iron shots in a row right on 10 and 11, which I haven't done for the whole week, and that cost me 3 shots right there potentially. So, and then obviously I learned the hard way that the PGA Tour is such a fine line, because I played really well all week, had the lead for most of the week, and then all of a sudden I make a couple bogeys there, silly 3-putt on 13, and all of a sudden I'm fighting for a top 10. And I wasn't really thinking that on the golf course, but I've had to make like a 15-footer for par, another 5-footer for par on those last 4 holes just to come in 8th, and I felt like I played so well, and it seemed like, okay, if you didn't win, you come in 2nd or 3rd, but I learned the hard way that it's such a fine line, and I was still really proud of how I handled that situation. And I think moving forward, just having that, nothing even tangible really, but just having that experience in the back of my mind is really going to prepare me well for the next time I'm in that position.
Surely, Sahith. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anand. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Krishna Swami for the next question.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Yeah.
Okay, this is Swami here. Sahith, you pretty much told a fair bit about your history.
Yeah.
I just want to know, when did you really decide to pick up golf, number one?
Yeah.
And are you in touch with other Indian players like Arjun Atwal or Anirban Lahiri and the other guys who are on the tour, etc.?
Sure.
I mean, do you really get to talk to them, etc.?
Yeah. So I started golf. My first time going on the golf course was maybe when I just turned 6 years old. And my first tournament ever was when I was 6 at the Junior Worlds in San Diego. And it was funny because I never practiced or anything, but I ended up winning that Junior Worlds. So that's when we were like, okay, he could have a potential in this sport. And I was very good when I was young. I kind of tapered away maybe middle school, high school, and then kind of regained my form college. But yeah, started when I was pretty young. And then in regards to other Indian players, I think I've been a little more involved in that the last couple years. I guess start of my college career I wasn't a top name or anything, so I didn't really have the opportunity to kind of put my name in there with some of the other really great Indian golfers. But it was pretty cool. Like maybe a few months ago, I followed Shubhankar Sharma for a while on Instagram, but I was like looking through his page. This might have been right after the BMW, so not that long ago, but looking through his page, I accidentally clicked unfollow, but I followed him again, and he ended up following me back, so I thought that was pretty cool. And that was before I got my card even, so that was cool. Anirban has been really, really supportive of me since, I'd say last year at the Safeway Championship. I made the cut on the number, and then shot a 64 the 3rd round, and Bon also played well that 3rd round, but I never introduced myself to him yet, but he came over to me. We were in the caddy dining area, and I'll never forget this. He probably doesn't even remember this, but he came over to me in the caddy dining area, and he's like, "Hey man, great playing, like really, really good stuff. Like looking forward to seeing what you do," kind of thing. And I thought that was really cool, and he's been really supportive of me since as well. I just saw him on the range yesterday, and I was walking past him, not really wanting to disturb him, but he turned around and, you know, gave me a little handshake and said really good playing last week. So it's pretty cool to kind of start these relationships with some of these guys, and I'm looking forward to continuing that as well. I haven't gotten to know, you know, Arjun Atwal very much. I know Bond's caddy. Some of the caddies know these guys well, so they've told me some stories. But yeah, I'm excited to kind of spending some more time around these guys.
Thanks, Sahith. We'll ask you about the story sometime else.
Okay.
Just in case you didn't know it, Anirban also has spent a lot of time in Hyderabad.
Awesome.
And,
yeah.
Okay, so speak to you sometime later.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
My mom is actually in Hyderabad right now. She went like last
Wow.
week. Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you, Swami sir.
Okay, let's go to Rohit from TV9.
Hi, Sahith.
Hi Rohit. How are you?
I'm fine, man. Obviously, hearing all your stories, and we are all very motivated to hear about your stories. Could you tell me about the Corn Ferry Tour and how the way you made it? From the looks of it, it looks pretty easy, and the way you had a great collegiate golf career.
Yeah.
But there have been many Indians who tried that route,
Sure.
going through the nationwide.
Yeah.
Rahil Gangji is an example.
Uh-huh.
But obviously they didn't find that amount of success.
Sure.
So if you could tell what behind the scenes, how you prepared for it, and how was the route for you from the Corn Ferry to getting a PGA Tour card?
Yeah, so, you know, interesting thing is I played maybe 6 or 7 PGA Tour events in my life before I played my first Corn Ferry event. My first Corn Ferry event was in Louisiana this March. And I played a total of 7 regular season Corn Ferry events, and then the 3 final additional events, so 10 total, which I think is about how many PGA events I played. But you know, the crazy part is, I can't even speak to the level of the Corn Ferry players. The fields are so strong, and I think the last couple of weeks kind of showed that, because a lot of the Corn Ferry graduates already, you know, I think last week out of the top 10, 5 of them were Corn Ferry graduates from this past year. So obviously the next wave of PGA Tour players is playing on the Nationwide Tour or the Corn Ferry Tour. It's pretty crazy, because I had some really good weeks on the Corn Ferry Tour, and it didn't necessarily produce great results. You know, I finished 19th in my first one, and felt like I played really well. 9th in another one that I felt like I played well, and obviously the Corn Ferry Finals were probably 2 of the best events I've played in my career, and I missed out on the win by a couple in Ohio, and then by 6 or 7 in Indiana. I came 4th and 6th, but played really, really solid golf, and a lot of those guys are either going to be the next stars on the PGA Tour, or have been on the PGA Tour, had a little off year, and then they come back and then they get their card again and do great things. So I can't speak for how high the level of golf is on the Corn Ferry Tour. I think that leading up to the Corn Ferry Finals and some of the PGA Tour events really helped me prepare as well.
If you could, the second and the last question.
Yeah.
If you could tell me more about who was your first coach, who was your first coach or instructor, and who is currently coaching or training, and with whom are you training right now?
Yeah.
And how do you see the upcoming season? What is your target for the season?
Yeah, so I've had pretty much one coach my whole life. His name is Rick Hunter. I started working with him when I was really young, maybe 9 years old, at a local driving range. Only driving range, no golf course, off mats. But he's done a great job in really learning my game, and I really just enjoy talking to him about about golf stuff. Even if I go see him, we won't work on my swing or anything, which that's another important part about Rick Hunter, is that we don't really mess with my swing. We tried to when I was younger, and it just didn't work, so my swing is my swing, and we're just trying to improve a little bit by little bit, and a lot of it is setup, tempo, and rhythm stuff. My swing has kind of stayed the same for a very long time, and he also helped me kind of get through, along with a lot of other people like coach and or my head coach at Pepperdine, Michael Beard. But after my wrist surgery, kind of helping me develop my new swing, which is a little bit smoother, a little bit less over the top kind of deal, but still swinging my swing. He's still my coach. He's an older gentleman, but we'll see how much. He's great, so I fully plan on working with him moving forward as well. But yeah, in terms of plans or goals for the rest of the year, again, like I haven't really had time to sit down and kind of map out the rest of the year. It's so nice having a schedule, by the way, though, because it's the first time in my pro career that I'm actually able to book flights in advance and book hotels in advance and not have to pay $600 for a last minute flight. But I'm not really worried about setting that many goals or stuff right now. I'm just kind of staying in the moment, and I'm trying to put as little expectations on myself because it's been working recently, not recently, for a while now, and just trying to enjoy every moment of it because I'm just obviously blessed to be in this position, and to make it to the PGA Tour so quickly is a dream come true. So I'm trying to soak in every moment I can, and maybe when I get some little bit, like next week I'll have a couple weeks off, maybe then I can sit down and kind of reassess the situation. But yeah, I'm just really excited to play the rest of the season, knowing that I have 15, 20 more events left.
Thank you so much, and all the very best for the upcoming season.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you.
Okay, we have time for a couple more questions. We may not be able to get to everyone. Let's go to Chua with the PGA Tour.
Hi, Sahith.
Hi, Chua.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about resilience. I'm just curious from your Asian Indian heritage.
Yeah.
What may be some of the values that your family has instilled in you?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the main things is just seeing my parents' journey to the States and how they, managed to raise me and my younger brother and give us such a good life. The hardships that they went through and the hardships that some other family went through in India, like the life that me and my younger brother are living are, nothing compared to the resiliency that my relatives and my parents have shown. So just kind of keeping that in the back of my mind has really grounded me as a person, and just to take advantage of any opportunity I can get, because again, I'm really blessed and thankful that my parents and grandparents put me in this position to be able to succeed. So I think just taking off of that, looking at any speed bumps in the way is kind of just a means of moving forward, kind of something else that is going to help me progress in life and golf. But yeah, I definitely think the Asian heritage part is a big part of why I've reached this point.
Cool. And just a quick follow-up. Do you model your game after any player? Did you have like a golf idol growing up kind of thing?
It's funny, not really. Obviously, the big three and big four, even Tiger, VJ, Phil, Ernie, like those guys are the guys I grew up watching, and they all had these just long, fluid swings, and I was never really able to swing like any of them. I wouldn't say my swing's as pretty as those guys, but I've always been a very scrappy player. My short game has always kind of saved my butt through my whole life, and that's why I really like Phil's short game and that kind of thing. But I don't really think I've modeled my game after anyone, just because it's not very similar to anyone's game. But yeah, obviously I grew up in the era watching those guys pretty much.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Okay, let's go to let's take our last question from Sydney with the Deccan Herald.
Thank you so much for allowing me a follow-up. Sahith, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Sydney. Yes.
Yeah. The Americans are once again regained the supremacy in golf. We see the rankings; it's dominated by the young Americans.
Yeah.
We saw what damage they can cause in the Ryder Cup. All very young Americans, but playing really, really well. The talent is really, really strong.
Yeah.
Now, you're an American, you had a very, very promising amateur career, and now you've progressed to the PGA Tour, you're a very talented youngster. So for you to be competing against very similarly, talented youngsters, so how does it feel,
It feels great because a lot of these younger guys like Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, Matt Wolff, even Victor Hovland on the European side, I grew up playing junior golf and college golf, and seeing them succeed kind of puts a little bit more fire under my belly as well. Knowing that I competed with them my whole lives. Obviously, when they were younger, their trajectories, they started a little bit higher than I was. I felt like I was like not a tier below, but I wasn't playing at the same level as they were till really recently. I mean, I still have a little bit of a ways to go, but it just gave me a lot of inspiration knowing that I played with these guys and these guys are able to do it, and nothing drastic has changed in their kind of games to take them to the next level. Like, good golf in college is still going to lead to good golf at the next level. So I mean, seeing Colin win 2 majors and the WGC and all his success is really, really cool, and hopefully I get to talk to him a little bit coming up, but it just gives me more confidence to see that it's doable. And even Sam Burns winning last week, his second win in 5 months, I think. He's also he might be a year older than me, but he's the same year in school as me. So he's another guy that kind of dominated junior and college golf and was someone that you kind of strive to try and compete with. So to see him have that success as well is really cool. And yeah, I think the Ryder Cup and President's Cups teams coming up for the U.S. are going to be really, really strong. And it obviously showed that it was a bunch of young guys. I think Dustin Johnson was the oldest at 36 or 37 maybe. So yeah, it's really cool to see that. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, Sahith, you've been very generous with your time. Thank you, and best of luck this week.
Thanks, John. I'm actually happy to answer one more if anyone has another question.
All right. Well, if you're still good, we can go to Anand.
Thank you, John. Right. I think if I had to ask you one more question, I'll have to go back to that. Sectionals, because the front 9 didn't go well for you there.
Yeah.
I'm sure you stopped by somewhere, drank a little bit of water.
Yeah.
And set out for the rest. Can you just talk me through that, because it was pretty big in the sense that the prize wasn't small. I mean, and you were coming off a very very demanding week.
Yeah.
So what did you do after you were perhaps 3 down or something like that? I can't exactly remember.
So obviously I just played the Memorial, had a really solid week there. I think I finished 32nd or 33rd or something. But grueling week because I had to play 36 holes on Friday. Thursday got rained out. So it was a lot of golf on a wet, demanding, long golf course. And obviously I was exhausted, but my caddy at the time, who was Zach, he was just a buddy who was only going to caddy for a little bit, but he ended up caddying for a long time, and I'm thankful for him. But we just had a really good time, and I've never seen the golf course before, so I made some really silly mistakes on the first 9 holes, hitting it way past the hole, and those greens were so severe that you had no chance from past the hole. So we were like, okay, now that we got a little bit of information about the golf course, we can just go and attack, because there's nothing to lose, right? You're not protecting your score against anything in a qualifier like that. So at that point I was like, okay, let's just attack everything. My swing was still feeling really good, and I actually I played well that second 9 of that first round, got it back to maybe 1 over, and we went and got some Wendy's, which I never eat that kind of fast food stuff, but we're like, okay, let's just get some quick energy. Ate some nuggets and got back, and we were just having a good time. We're like, why not just attack everything? And I actually didn't even make that many. I think I maybe made 5 birdies, 1 bogey the second round or something like that, but it was good enough in a playoff. So yeah, it's just that kind of that mindset of not worrying about hitting bad shots, because again, it is a qualifier. It doesn't really matter what you end up shooting. So just having that mindset was and then obviously to qualify at Torrey Pines, which is I live an hour and a half drive away and have to have all my family there. It was really cool.
Thanks, right. Good to know.
Okay, a couple more. Let's go back to Joy.
Hi, Sahith.
Hi, Joy.
Hey, listen, Sahith, I wanted to ask you, I mean, you are the Fred Haskins Award winner,
Yeah.
Jack Nicklaus Award winner. Ben Hogan Award winner
Mm-hmm.
of the college golf season. Rehan is a very good friend of yours, I know, and he's a very close friend of mine as well.
Yeah.
Coming from Dubai.
Uh-huh.
And I know he has struggled a bit getting into the A team of OSU.
Sure.
And there are many other Indian, players in the junior section who are a bit wary of going to the US college system.
Sure.
Being all these kind of, you have number one player of college golf,
Mm-hmm.
what would your advice be to Indian junior golfers? What would you say to them about going there and trying their hand out?
Yeah, I will say the first year obviously it's not going to be easy. You're in a completely different environment and you're kind of learning how team golf works because you never really, growing up you play individual golf your whole life and you kind of learn how to deal with a lot of pretty hard schoolwork and then all your scheduling stuff and all that. So it's not going to be easy the first year. Even for me, I was born and brought up in Los Angeles and I went to school in Los Angeles and it still took me a year to get really used to it because my freshman year I played well but didn't, I felt like I underperformed and I was really struggling with my academics too, trying to keep up both of them. So it is going to be tough, but then you start seeing the benefits of it, not only in golf, but you learn really great time management. You learn how to deal with people really well, and then sure enough, you're surrounding yourself with really, really good players, right? Like other players that are playing D1 golf, they're there for a reason, and you start to pick up little things from each of your teammates, and then obviously picking really good coaches is really important too. Coaches that have good experience and can help you get to the next level. So college golf really provides a lot of opportunities and a lot of different places that you can learn to take your game to the next level. So I will say it's definitely a challenge, and if you feel like you're mentally strong enough to take on those challenges, the benefits that you can reap from it are so great. So many great players out here have gone through the college system, and I think a lot of people speak pretty highly about it. There's a reason that a lot of golfers, don't go straight from high school to turn pro. There's a lot of benefits, I think, picking a right college. So even as OSU, a great program, and obviously Pepperdine is becoming a pretty great program as well with Michael Beard and all that. So I think there's definitely a lot of benefits. It's hard, it's not easy, but there's just so many things that you can better yourself going to college and taking those 4 years.
Thanks, Sahith.
For sure, Joe.
Play well this week.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to have to wrap up with this one, but we'll go back to Krishna Swami for the last question.
Thank you so much, John. So I just wanted to know, if you give it an opportunity, would you like to come and play in India? As and when any professional opportunity arises.
Yeah, I would love to come and play in India at one point. I've never actually brought my golf clubs over there. One time I played with some rental clubs at, I don't even remember. It was such a long time ago. Boulder?
Yeah, Boulder Hills.
Boulder Hills, okay. I played when I was maybe 11 or 12, but with a rental set. But I would love to come over there and play because I have so much of my family over there still, and it'd be really cool for my grandparents and some of my family that doesn't get to come over here to watch me play, and I think that would be a really cool experience for me too. But yeah, I would love to come over there and play for sure.
Thanks, Mike. Look forward to that. Thank you, John.
All good?
You should still be there. You should sign off.
Oh, I guess it was muted.
John Bush.
All right. All right, Sahith, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
For your time. Play well this week.
Thank you, John. Thanks, everyone.
All right, yep.